Where could we find Jayo? Ooh, an old car pickup truck. Could he be? It's so weird because I'm pretty sure in my vision years ago now, when it first happened, I saw an old wrecked car, like the bones of a car, a rusted out old car near where maybe he is in the outback there. And sometimes that happens, like in the outback where you see these cars that have just been sitting there for like years. Stupid cards, come on. So they may have taken him there in one of the, maybe the Land Cruiser. I'm pretty sure the Land Cruiser was the one that wasn't actually looked at by police, which is just stupid. This one here, I would say, would be incompetence in some parts. There's some missed opportunities there. See, opportunities to really investigate his death. There's a run over, hit and run, hit by a vehicle. Did they run him over at any stage? 2 to 4 people, small intimate group, out in the desert, but amongst trees maybe as well, because even though it's desert and it's very flat red earth, and there's waterways, right, water holes, rivers, things like that, there's also, I wouldn't call it a forest or bushland as such, but there are bushes, there are trees around. So they're not going to obviously put him out in the open on just a flat red surface where from an aerial point of view they would be, someone would be able to find him. They would put him underneath a bush, in a log, under a log, maybe in water, under something or in something, okay? Somebody comes from the city. That could be Melbourne, Darwin, Sydney, or Perth if they're from WA. I don't know where they're all from. I can't remember now. There's a bridge, so that could be a sign, going towards, maybe you have to cross a bridge to get to where he is. It could be that he is on the way towards one of the main cities. If they did travel a fair way with him, which I think they might have, the fact that there's been extensive air, land and water searches and there's been no sighting of Jayo or his clothing or anything just really tells me that he's not right there. He's not there. They've taken him further. That's what I believe. Domestic violence, physical abuse. I did say in one of my first readings that one of the perpetrators or guys that were there, whether they were indirectly involved or directly, whatever, I don't know. But I did see that one of them, this card came up, and I was pretty sure it meant that, one of them might beat up their woman or something. And I'm pretty sure there was, one of them has had a warrant out for his arrest in Queensland due to domestic assault. And I think there was a drug connection there as well. I don't know what's come of that, but it's just interesting that came up. And I do still see that this is connected with Jayo too, though, that he may have, if he was in a fight and had a fist fight, there would have been bruising on him. Stalker, waiting, watching. So it kind of reminds me that someone was keeping an eye on him, maybe paranoid about his movements. I don't believe it's a stranger. We got an accident here as well. So could it have been something that turned, like someone's flown into a rage and then accidentally killed him? They may not have meant to kill him, but out of their rage, that could have happened. And there's a body of water and a boat. Okay, so this could be a body of water that boats go on, whether it be a lake or a river. Don't think it would be a beach. Law enforcement, police intervention, that could be coming in. I'm pretty sure they did bring divers in, but they're not going to, search every single waterway across Queensland. This is what worries me about it being a cold case, because it kind of has that feeling to it. When I was sent the coroner's inquest. It's a 48-page document, which was quite interesting to read, considering that, especially when I did 2 tarot readings before, or 3, I think it was, before reading that. And upon reading it, I'm thinking, geez, there's a lot of stuff that's come out in this that was actually correct in my reading. And that's why I believe some of the family members had reached out to me and were actually confirming to me that, you know, we've got information and a lot of your reading is spot on, which was good to know in a way, because it means that what I'm doing is for a cause, you know, a good cause. Hopefully it's helpful. I don't know. If there's one thing I find a struggle with, it's the locating deceased victims or missing persons. That's something I'm still trying to work on with spirit to, you know, sharpen that skill basically. So I use cards and I use various things like my clairvoyance, you know, I'll be able to see visions. And I believe that it's really hard for me because I believe he's right near the water, but for all I know, he could actually be in water. They may have weighed him down if they wrapped him up in something. But the initial impression I got was that he was buried and he's been placed under, like shrub, bushland, what am I saying, bushes, logs, that kind of thing. As I always say, we don't know until we know. But I do believe he's a fair distance away. Initially, I think I got the impression that, yeah, they had taken him a fair way, but it's hard to know exactly how far. They had 30 hours to go and do something. So they had 30 hours to maybe get in their Land Cruiser or Toyota, whatever it was, and just at a fast speed get out of there and drive hours away. They could have driven hours away and camped overnight at another location after, you know, disposing of him, and then driven hours back to Wippo Creek. That's what I believe's happened. Or it could be another scenario that the Ford Focus that was found stealing petrol and had just come across from the coast hundreds of miles just suddenly popped up out of the blue. Around the time that Jayo disappeared, were they the ones that picked up Jayo? But you would think then that, because I know the police were suspicious about that vehicle and why it just suddenly popped up around that time and what for. Like, why would they go all the way, you know, if there's no family to meet, and they stole that car as well, which kind of shows you it's spontaneous thing. Yeah, why would they do that unless they were there to pick up Jayo? But then again, you'd think that with, you know, phone calls and pings and different things, you'd think that there would have been a phone call made to those people to come and get this guy, you know. And then they'd have to run the risk of holding a body at a campsite for God knows how long. So until these people arrived. So that kind of doesn't make a lot of sense either. What really upset me reading the coroner's inquest, his report, was him stating, well, yes, he did say that it appears most likely that Jayo met with foul play. There's insufficient evidence to state that the guys he was travelling with were responsible for his disappearance or death, because there's no weapon, there's no crime scene, there's nothing of Jayo left behind. Their phones were intercepted by police and they didn't have any conversations around a death of this young man, which I think they're pretty clever. I mean, they are criminals anyway, some of them. They have a criminal record. They would know how it works. They would probably know to go mum on this, okay? It's a saying, like to go silent, not to say a word via texting or over a conversation together. You could look at it that, okay, maybe some of them had no idea and maybe one or two do know the truth. It's just interesting that, you know, his lifelong mate, who he calls a brother, would choose, you know, it's like that self-preservation. So they don't want to get in trouble for crossing borders, but yet they were doing it anyway, and they ran the risk of being caught anyway. Your best friend, your brother, is missing, supposedly, and you're more worried about your own self, about receiving a $66,000 fine over your best mate's or your brother's life. Hello, like what the fuck? It doesn't make sense to me. And then there was the thing of them doing a drug trafficking operation. Apparently Jojo had come forward to police stating that they didn't report Jayo missing initially because of this drug trafficking expedition that they were on, and they obviously didn't want to get in trouble for that, which you can understand. It's pretty serious, and yeah, I mean, if they're trafficking cannabis and God knows what else. The stupid thing was the cops did not search the Land Cruiser. So there was two vehicles, there was two pickups, and one of the vehicles was searched, I'm pretty sure, but the other one wasn't. And they were told, I think those people I think there was two men to stay behind for a police interview, and they took off in the middle of the night. And you can imagine, okay, well, are they guilty of something for doing that? Why would they do that? Because apparently they came forward initially in the day, but then they took off in the middle of the night, even knowing the police were going to come in the next morning to further investigate and ask questions. So there's so much going on. But when the coroner said that, okay, it's most likely that he met with foul play, they can't prove it's these guys, but he said that given the inconsistent stories and the constant lying, they've given 7 different versions as to what happened to Jayo. That, one said that he ran off with pig dogs, or, the pig hunting dogs, and didn't come back. Another guy said that he saw him last at a water hole and made jokes because Jayo was wearing his red shoes finally after, days of running around barefoot. And that was the last he saw of him. And then another one said that he had a fight. This is Jojo, the brother, said that he had a fight with Jayo, and because he was telling him to calm down because Jayo was on meth and drinking or whatever. And Jayo said to him, "You're sounding like mum." And he got angry and he walked off and said he was going to go for a swim. So there's all these different ones. I know there's other versions you can read in the document. But then when the coroner states that he can't rule out the fact that it could be misadventure, and that, being out in the country like that, the outback, that there are wild pigs, because that's what these guys were doing, was hunting wild pigs. He's stating that, wild pigs and eagles and lizards and things can get to a body, and a wild hog can actually eat a body whole. And I just thought about that, and I thought, I don't know. You could understand it if it was weeks gone by, months gone by, years, if things deteriorate like clothing. But he had red sneakers on, he had synthetic material basically. And I did a Google search because I just needed to know. I thought, this is bizarre. I know I've heard of it many times. You hear about it amongst the true crime community that, pigs, often people will feed bodies to pigs so they can get rid of evidence and stuff. But it just didn't sit well with me that, okay, yes, it was 30 hours after he was reported missing. Then the search team all came in. There were helicopters or gyrocopters or whatever they call them. There was divers, there was people on ATVs and people searching high and low for Jayo everywhere. For miles they were searching. They did an extensive search for him. Now, 30 hours after, I would assume that there would still be remnants, okay, of his body somehow. On the things that I read, it stated that pigs will not necessarily eat synthetic material such as clothing or sneakers or even teeth in some cases, or even some bones in the human body they leave behind, or even hair. Like, they don't necessarily eat the whole hair or the hair. I've got it in a post on the community tab too if you want to read what it says. So that didn't sit well with me, because I thought also, if there's animals getting to a body, they will spread out the bones. Maybe not every single bone would be eaten by a pig. They spread it out over vast distances sometimes. There would be blood stains on the red dirt, you would think, at a animals getting to a body that's very freshly deceased, where there's organs and blood. I'm not trying to be gross, but that's the truth and the fact of it. So I don't believe at all, in my opinion, that he was Yeah, I don't believe his body was taken by animals or eaten by animals. I believe that even if, yeah, post, mortem, that yes, they probably did get to him once he's been buried somewhere or something like that. But I don't believe that it's misadventure and he's just fallen down somewhere and then suddenly animals have gotten to him and that's why they can't find him. I just don't believe that for a second, right? I'm not saying I'm better than an expert, but logically, guys, it doesn't make sense to me. Like, where are his shoes? Even if an animal was to tear away at clothing or these, Nike shoes that he had on, they're bright red, you'd think you'd see some kind of, even bits of fabric somewhere. There's just nothing at all. So it's very, very strange to me. So in other words, what I believe is that Jayo, this was planned. A plan came up, right, to take him far away and dispose of him somewhere far away. That's my opinion. Money, there we are, money. Was there an issue around money? Drugs and money, was there a fight over drugs and money? It makes you wonder. Forest path mossy. Now, that doesn't really seem to match with the outback over there, so I can't comment on that really, what that would be. Some of these cards do come out as irrelevant, though, I have to say. They can, at times, come out as irrelevant to the case. Talking about Jayo Rivers, Spirit. Jayo Rivers, please. Can you give us an idea as to where he would be near? Wow, ways, man. Look at that group fight. It's just telling me right there. He could be in the water, drowning, submerged. Could be submerged in water, and maybe that's why they haven't come across him. Could be that there's a weapon in the water as well. Well, that came up as a beach, but I don't really think it's a beach as we know on the coast. I just can't imagine he'd be anywhere near a beach. But sometimes you can see water holes that are like sandy. It could be that. Oh, wow. Goodness me. This is interesting. That's come out separately. Jealousy issues and personal. Seasoned criminal system knowledge, repeat offenders. Like, I don't know how many of them in the group, but I think there's a fair few of them that have had a bit of a rap sheet in certain things, whether it be assault, drugs, someone rides a motorbike. Winter's coming up again. I think that came up last time. Could it be around winter time in Australia here? That's between, what is it, June? Is it June? My brain, where is it? April, no. My brain's not working. Just let me just think for a second. Yeah, I just went blank for a second. It's June, July, August. Okay, we've already been through that this year. But, wow, see, the story goes. Misadventure and lost. Okay. Shivers. Let me have a look. Where is he, Spirit? Oh, there, it's coming up there. Look at that. Jealousy issues, personal. Something's been placed in the bin. So evidence may have been gotten rid of. This could be clothing, a weapon. Train tracks is coming up again, which is so bizarre because apparently there are no train tracks out near there. The fact it keeps coming up, is there somewhere else miles away they could have travelled that has a train track? But someone did say something about a camel train that was used years ago. Doesn't have to be train tracks as such, but it could be tracks. What kind of tracks? Oh, stop it. My dog's barking. Sorry, guys. February. Mental illness, fragment, stress, breakdown. That's definitely happening with the brother, I think. The one that calls him a brother. Awaiting rescue delays. Yeah, so his body is still out there, guys. It's interesting that's kind of like on or in water there too. And wow, that held at ransom card does not want to go back in the deck, but it's not what happened. But there was somebody that did connect with family. A scammer, apparently, from overseas. Was trying to get money saying that horrible things, that he was alive and that if they didn't do this, then they would kill him. It was absolutely horrific and traumatic for that poor family. Wow, what's come down here? Oh my God. So we have here betrayal and we have a smoker. So to me, that could be drugs as well. And unsolved. A lot of this will be unsolved. That's what it looks like there, guys. Male victim, there he is. Crime of passion and rage. There it is, guys. That's what it is. I'm about to run out of camera space, but this just came up. 500 to 1,000 kilometers away. Northeast, it reckons.